The old Grand Phoenix Hotel wasn't much to look at anymore. Just 5 stories of faded brick and dusty windows in downtown Portland. But when I first saw it, I could see past the worn facade to what it could become. If only my family had shared that vision. A historic hotel? My father's voice dripped with disdain as he surveyed the lobby's cracked marble floors. For God's sake, Alexandra, we have 6 luxury properties in development right now. Real hotels, not this relic. He ran a finger along the mahogany banister, grimacing at the dust. James Carter II, CEO of Carter Hospitality Group, couldn't comprehend why his youngest daughter would want this old building when she could have a corner office in his gleaming corporate headquarters. It has potential, Dad, I tried to explain. The architecture is stunning. The location is perfect for a boutique experience. Boutique. He snorted. We're building a 500-room luxury resort in Miami right now. That's real hospitality. He gestured at the Grand's neglected staircase. This is a mistake. Before I could respond, the click of expensive heels announced my sister Victoria's arrival. She paused in the doorway, designer sunglasses perched on her perfect nose. Oh my God. It's even worse than Dad said. She wrinkled her nose. Seriously, Alex, what are you thinking? This place probably has rats. Actually, the inspection showed. Darling, Victoria interrupted, adopting the condescending tone she'd perfected since becoming Carter Hospitality so at 32, you've always been different. But this is career suicide. Come back to the company. I'm sure we can find you something suitable in marketing or guest relations. I bit back a sharp response. Victoria had never worked a single day in real hospitality. Her idea of hotel management was ordering staff around from the comfort of her office. I'm buying it, I said firmly. The paperwork is already in process. Dad's face darkened. With what money? Surely you haven't touched your trust fund for this endeavor. No, I smiled slightly. I got a loan based on my own business plan and credentials. That was only partly true. What they didn't know was that I'd spent the last 5 years quietly building my own investment portfolio, turning my business school knowledge into something tangible. My trust fund remained untouched. This was mine, and I intended to do it on my own terms. Victoria laughed. For this dump? What bank would be stupid enough? That's enough, Dad snapped. His voice carried the weight of a man used to being obeyed. Alexandra, I'm calling Harold at First National. We'll stop this nonsense before. You can't, I interrupted. It's done. I own it as of this morning. The silence that followed was deafening. Dad's face went through several shades of red before settling on a dangerous purple. Victoria's mouth opened and closed like a designer-clad fish. Then you're on your own, Dad said coldly. Don't come crying to us when this fails. And it will fail. You want to waste your education playing innkeeper? Fine. But understand this. You're choosing this wreck over your family's legacy. Better save some housekeeping uniforms in your size, sis, Victoria smirked. You'll be cleaning rooms yourself once this place bankrupts you. They left me standing in the dusty lobby, their disapproval heavy in the air. But they didn't understand. They never looked beyond the surface, beyond their formula of luxury chains and corporate profits. What they couldn't see was that hospitality was changing. Travelers increasingly sought authentic experiences over generic luxury. Historic properties were becoming hot commodities, and the Grand Phoenix, with its Art Deco details and rich history, was a diamond in the rough. And I had a secret weapon. Something I'd discovered during my due diligence. Something that would change everything. But that would have to wait. First, I had a hotel to resurrect. Perfectly manicured hands trembled as she flipped through the financial reports. Surely our other investments are tied up in development projects. We can't liquidate. Marcus finished for her. Face it, James. Unless we find a major investor willing to inject capital immediately, Carter Hospitality Group is finished. The silence that followed was deafening. I chose that moment to clear my throat. Actually, I said calmly, I might be able to help with that. Dad finally looked at me, irritation crossing his features. Alexandra, this isn't the time for... For what, Dad? For revealing that while you were busy building generic luxury boxes, I was discovering something extraordinary. I opened my briefcase and began distributing folders to each board member. What's this? Marcus asked, flipping his open. The true history of the Grand Phoenix Hotel, I replied. Specifically its role during World War II. Victoria snorted. We're facing bankruptcy and you want to give us a history lesson? Oh, this isn't just history. I smiled. During renovation I discovered something in the old vault. Something that changes everything. I pulled out a stack of yellowed documents. In 1942, the hotel served as an unofficial banking center for wealthy European families fleeing the war. They converted their assets into gold and art, storing them in the vault until they could safely retrieve them. The board members leaned forward, their interest piqued. Most families recovered their assets after the war, I continued. But some never returned. The vault's contents were carefully documented, then sealed by the original owners, waiting for legitimate claims. And you found these documents? Marcus asked. Along with the original vault contents, I said quietly. Over $400 million in gold at today's prices, plus artwork estimated at another $600 million. The room erupted in chaos. Dad's face went pale. Victoria's mouth hung open in shock. That's impossible, she whispered. The federal authorities have already authenticated everything, I said. And as the legal owner of the Grand Phoenix, I'm entitled to 30% of the value of any unclaimed assets. That's $300 million conservatively. Marcus's expression sharpened. Would you be willing to invest in Carter Hospitality? Not exactly. I rose and walked to the window. You see, while you were all dismissing my little hotel, I was building something else too. I nodded to my assistant waiting quietly by the door. She handed out another set of documents. Phoenix Capital Partners, I announced. A hospitality investment firm specializing in historic properties. We've been quietly acquiring and renovating hotels across the country for the past 3 years. Dad's hands shook as he read. These returns. This portfolio is worth $2.8 billion. Turns out there's a huge market for authentic, historically significant hotels, I said smoothly. Who knew? The sarcasm wasn't lost on anyone. So here's my offer. Phoenix Capital will purchase a controlling interest in Carter Hospitality Group. We'll stabilize your finances, resolve the Dubai situation, and transition your properties toward a more sustainable, authentic hospitality model. You want to take over? Victoria's voice rose hysterically. You can't. Actually, she can, Marcus interrupted. And given our situation, it might be our only option. Dad stood up slowly, his empire crumbling around him. All this time, his voice was faint. While you were mocking my choices, I finished for him. Too busy building glass towers to see the value in history. Too focused on luxury to understand what modern travelers really want. Too convinced of your own superiority to notice the market changing around you. I placed a final document on the table. The choice is yours. Sign today and we start the transition immediately. Wait and, well, I hear bankruptcy courts are quite busy these days. The board members looked to my father. But for the first time in his life, James Carter too didn't have an answer. His youngest daughter, the dreamer he dismissed, now held the key to his company's survival. The next few weeks transformed Carter Hospitality in ways no one could have predicted. The Grand Phoenix became our new headquarters, its restored grandeur a symbol of change. The vault, now a carefully curated museum, drew international attention and a steady stream of fascinated visitors. But the real transformation was behind the scenes. These numbers can't be right, Victoria muttered one morning, frowning at her laptop. We sat in what had once been the hotel's private dining room, now a sleek conference space that somehow preserved its historic charm. Which numbers? I asked, though I already knew. The Charleston property, she said. Since we implemented your authentic experience model, revenue is up 140%. And guest satisfaction. She shook her head in disbelief. How? Because we stopped trying to force every hotel into the same luxury box, I explained. The Charleston property was a former cotton merchant's mansion. Now, instead of generic luxury, guests experienced genuine Southern hospitality and a piece of history. Dad cleared his throat from the doorway. He'd been quieter since the takeover, his legendary confidence shaken. But today he looked almost hopeful. The Dubai situation, he said, stepping into the room. How did you fix it so quickly? I smiled. By understanding something you forgot, Dad. Hospitality isn't just about luxury, it's about relationships. The solution had been surprisingly simple. Instead of another ostentatious tower, we proposed converting a historic palace into a boutique hotel, partnering with local historians to preserve its cultural significance. The Dubai authorities, impressed by our respect for their heritage, not only approved the new project but helped resolve the legal issues from the failed development. We've been invited to discuss similar projects in 6 other emirates, I added. Turns out, there's growing demand for authentic experiences in the luxury market. Victoria set down her laptop, her voice soft. I never understood. When you bought this place, I thought you were crazy. But you saw something we all missed. I saw lots of things you missed, I replied, not unkindly. I spread out a series of photographs, elegant hotels across the country, each with its own unique history and character. All were part of Phoenix Capital's portfolio. All thriving. The Morgan House in Boston, formerly a shipping merchant's home. The Desert Rose in Santa Fe, once a 19th-century governor's mansion. The Railway Exchange in Chicago. I pointed to each in turn. Every property tells a story, and people will pay premium prices to be part of that story. Dad picked up one of the photos slowly. And now, I said, Carter Hospitality will be part of this transformation, if you're ready to embrace it. Our corporate properties have potential, I said. They just need to find their authentic voice. I paused before adding, and they need leadership that understands this new direction. Victoria looked up sharply. What are you suggesting? I want you both to head up our Heritage Development Division, I explained. Dad's business experience, your eye for detail, you'd both be valuable assets if applied correctly. They exchanged glances. A month ago this would have seemed like a demotion. Now, after seeing our success, it was an opportunity. There's something else. I pressed a button on the wall. A hidden panel slid aside, revealing an elaborate scale model. Our next project. Dad leaned in, studying the model. Is that the original Carter Hotel? I nodded. Your father's first property, the one that started everything. The small hotel in Boston had been sold decades ago, dismissed as too modest for the growing Carter empire. What they didn't know was that I had secretly acquired it last year. The renovation plans are ready, I said softly. I thought maybe you'd like to help restore it. Make it the flagship of our heritage collection. For the first time in my memory, I saw tears in my father's eyes. Your grandfather would have loved this, he said. He always said we lost something when we went corporate. The next year brought changes none of us could have imagined. Carter Hospitality merged with Phoenix Capital and became Heritage Hotels International. Our unique blend of historic charm and modern luxury set new industry standards. Victoria discovered a passion for historical research, earning headlines for her innovative preservation projects. Dad found renewed purpose in mentoring young hoteliers, teaching them to see potential in forgotten properties. The Grand Phoenix thrived, its success a daily reminder of how wrong they'd been about my vision. But I found that success tasted sweeter without bitterness. One evening I found Dad in the hotel's restored library, flipping through old photographs. I was so blind, he said quietly without looking up. I spent years chasing what I thought success should look like, never seeing the treasure right in front of me. We all learn differently, I replied, sitting beside him. Some lessons just cost more than others. He smiled slightly. The company's valuation hit $10 billion today. Double what Carter Hospitality was worth at its peak. And yet, I said, that's not the most important number. Oh. Guest satisfaction across all properties is 98%. Employee retention is up 150%. And we've preserved 32 historic buildings that would have been demolished for new development. Dad nodded slowly. Legacy isn't just about money, is it? No, I agreed. Sometimes it's about seeing the value in what others overlook, in old buildings and in people. As if to prove my point, Victoria burst in, her hands dusty from exploration. She was excited about her latest discovery, hidden Prohibition-era tunnels beneath our Chicago property. Her designer suits had been replaced with more practical clothes, her enthusiasm unmistakable. I watched them together, Dad eagerly examining Victoria's findings, both fully engaged in our shared vision, and realized something profound. Success wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about showing them a better way. The Grand Phoenix stood as testament to that truth. Not just a hotel but a symbol of transformation. Of buildings, of business, and most importantly, of people. Sometimes the greatest legacy isn't what we build but what we restore. Not just historic hotels but relationships, understanding, and the ability to see beauty in what others dismiss as worthless. That's a lesson worth more than any empire.